Hello, dear friends, and we're continuing our show, Secrets of the Eternal Book. Hello, Dr. Lightman. Hello, everyone. So, we're continuing our show. We're talking about the Book of Prophets, the Book of Yoshua ben Nun, and on our previous show, we talked about the Creator turning to Yoshua ben Nun, cross the river with the nation. I'm going to be with you, only don't move neither to the right nor to the left from the Torah. Keep it. And it say, be a man. The nation tells him. So just like the Creator was with Moses, he will be with you. So for starters, what is that, Dr. Lightman? Well, Moses, he brought them to the river of Jordan, and he remained on the other side of the river. And of course, all this has to be seen, looked upon as an allegory, and only spiritually wise. Crossing the river of Jordan means crossing the border, the boundary into the land of Israel. The land of Israel is the feeling of the Creator, is feeling the Creator in a very concise, precise, and direct way. And afterwards, Joshua leads them further. Simeon. So we said who he is, what he is, why did Moses bless him? Oh, we can understand that Moses, he didn't fight, Dr. Lightman. No, he was only an educator. But he went through the most important period with them, with the nation. He took people who were slaves to their ego. He took them through the desert, meaning where they revoked their ego, tore them apart from their ego, elevated them up above, higher than the ego, and gave them the opportunity to continue on their path of ascent ever higher. Simeon. Well, we said that Moses is the manifestation of the quality of mercy in us, Dr. Lightman, a force that appears in a person, helping him to acknowledge his necessary spiritual ascent. Simeon, and what is the Yoshua ben Nun in us, Dr. Lightman? It's the continuity of it. It's where a person more or less finds his way around in this quality of bestowal, of mercy, of love, nonetheless fighting his ego, but he has already crossed to the other side. He already identifies with his quality of bestowal. He already understands how does he have to be connected with others. Simeon, and he's not running from the ego. He is fighting it now. Dr. Lightman, yes, he knows how to subdue it, use it, and that means that he conquers the land of Israel. Land, in Hebrew, Eretz, comes from the word ratzon, and turns these desires in the direction of bestowal toward the Creator. So the people of Israel, Am Yisrael, are desires that are aimed straight toward the Creator, from the words Yashar el Israel, aimed straight toward the Creator. And now everything that Moses taught them, Joshua gives, hands over to them. He is a conqueror, Simeon. And the building of the soul happens precisely in the land of Israel, or Dr. Lightman? No, this already happened when they came out of Egypt. It started there, when they received the Torah, during the 40 years of their preparation in the desert, and now with the crossing of the Jordan River. Simeon, so we're talking about man's soul, Dr. Lightman. Yes, these are egoistic qualities that, by way of wars, each with himself, and all together, we have to go through that. Simeon, and the second chapter of the book of Yoshua ben Nun, and it starts as follows. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim, saying, go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. You know, as a script writer, there's a flashback. There are spies sent again. Back then there were 12, now 2, to see this land again. Why? Dr. Lightman, the thing is that Here, there are two reasons. The one is, it's in order to know in advance where you're going. The other one is to be afraid about where you're going. You have to be afraid of this place, the revelation of great, tremendous new desires. Will you be able, if you will be able to cope with them, then you will be able to so-called conquer the land of Israel, meaning to take away those desires that withhold the ego in themselves, hold it with tremendous force. You will be able to tear out these desires and use them in order to bestow. Simeon, so if previously it didn't work out, the spies, they came to spy, but it didn't work out. They said, don't go there, we won't be able to conquer the land, but now it does work out. Everything's going to be fine, meaning, so it's examining the place again. Dr. Lightman, no, it's not only a re-examination, but it's also a correction, because we're talking about corrections here. So you don't just have some kind of action here, some kind of, make-believe just in case, but there's very serious work here. Sincerely saying, if I imagine to myself this condition, the state of being at the entrance to the land of Israel, I feel fear. I feel fear. Meaning, there are such tremendous obstacles, internal ones, egoistic, that shake a person up, and he needs to overcome them. How? Where to take these forces from? Unbelievable. Simeon, so these two spies go into the city, and they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rachav and stayed there. And this woman has lots to do with the fate of the people of Israel. And further, the king of Jericho asks this woman to hand over the spies, but she hides them. She directs his troops in the wrong direction, as if they ran away. And she comes and and she says, I know that the Lord has given you this land, she tells the spies, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sichon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, etc. For the Lord your God is in the heaven above, etc., etc. And I'd like to ask you, for the nation, for the people of Jericho, she's a prostitute, but for the people of Israel, she's righteous. Dr. Lightman, well, a prostitute, a herald in the Torah, it's a holy woman. It's not that we can directly translate what a prostitute is. Sinners in the Torah, these are very special people, because what kind of sinners are they? Who do they sin? So if she comes to the recognition that she is a prostitute, Dr. Lightman, it's a great degree. Meaning he disagrees with this or that, but how to put it, he finds himself in this state. Simeon, but they came specifically to that home. Dr. Lightman, right. They felt that here there's a person who wants, living here is a person who wants to help them, and they trust them. So they can only trust her, Dr. Lightman. Yes, it is as if a lost soul. Simeon, so it's not a city of sinners, but of the righteous. Dr. Lightman, yes, for them, these souls that they reveal in themselves, these are the closest and are oriented toward connection with them. It's completely different than in our world, says Simeon, Dr. Laitman. Of course. And this is why they came, and this is why they believe her.
Вам тоже ближе человек, который знает, что он...
Simeon, to you, a person who knows that he is, he's closer to you, Dr. Laitman. So it says in the Torah, fear the sons of the poor, for Torah will come from them, meaning fear sinners, because from them will come the Torah, the light meaning. Because this is how they feel themselves, and to the measure to which they feel their descent, their weakness before the ego, they're closest to the Creator, because the Creator loves sinners, Simeon. So they didn't come to her just by chance. It is the only place to where they could come. They couldn't come to any other place. And further on, there's an interesting detail here. It says, and she let them down on a rope through the window, and she lived in a wall. Dr. Laitman, yeah, back then they built these kinds of homes. There's nothing special about this, but what does it insinuate about that she was really on the border, boundary between that world and this world in terms of qualities? Simeon, so we can say that it's a kind of step meant in order to cross in the direction of this nation. Dr. Laitman, yes. Simeon. And these two people, these two spies, they came down from the mountain, and they came to Yoshua ben Nun and told him about everything that happened to them. And they told Yoshua, really, the Creator has given all of this land into our hands, the whole land into our hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us, meaning that it is known in advance that the city will be taken. Dr. Laitman, yes, that all of these desires that are behind the wall of the city. Simeon, but why prove it? It was clear one way or another. Dr. Laitman, no, a person has to advance knowing what is he advancing towards. He has to understand what is he doing it for, how, meaning here, you can't have any, how to say, people have to feel all their qualities and what qualities exactly are they advancing with, and the measure to which they have to change their ego and rise above it and connect between themselves, and only that way do they conquer this new space, new desires. And eventually, what are we supposed to do? Through our connection, we have to conquer new and new desires until the quality of bestowal and love covers the entire planet. Simeon, what is this city of Jericho inside of us? Dr. Laitman, actually, it's a terrible city. Terrible. To this day, it's very problematic. Simeon, it even says that, someplace it says something about that. There's a prophecy about it, that because it's a terrible city, that Dr. Laitman, yeah, when you approach it even, you see what a foreign place that is, old place. Simeon, so practically it's impossible to correct this place, Dr. Laitman, impossible. And it's actually really on the border between the shell and the holiness, klipa and kedusha. And therefore you can't. Simeon, and that's why it has to fall first. Well, we've completed the second chapter. Short, but these were the main things. The spies that met this harlot, and that they found out that they're feared, and the next chapter tells about wonders. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from the Chittim. They approached the Jordan. there, and he says, Joshua says to the people, prepare yourselves for tomorrow and prepare to move. And for tomorrow, the Lord will do wonders among you. I wanted to ask, what does it mean, Dr. Lightman, to cleanse yourself of the ego, to cleanse yourself of all the possible qualities, intentions, thoughts that can be for yourself? You have to raise yourself to such a level where you can't even imagine the kind of doubts that one could have, the kind of, how to put it, the kind of, Simeon, obstacles, Dr. Lightman. Yeah, and to raise yourself above all that, Simeon. But they actually approached the border already, the cleansing happened. And still, before that, they have to examine themselves, Dr. Lightman, because they're advancing. You're not standing still. You're advancing, and therefore the cleansing, it's not for the past, but for the future. That already now you're accumulating such a quality of bestowal, the quality of binah, that you can go forward. Because the land of Israel, it is a very harsh land, very egoistic, these are desires, such desires that a simple, plain person cannot exist in that. And therefore, for the past hundreds of years, it was actually empty, Simeon. Precisely because of that, because it's so harsh, it doesn't simply accept people just so, Dr. Layton. And also, there's nothing in it, nothing grows in it. Only now, when the nation of Israel came back here, it shows that it can grow and develop, Simeon. And now, we're even the external way things are. Does it say anything, Dr. Leitman? It only tells us that we can exist in this land, but only under the condition that we will act in accordance with this land, and only then will it bless us. But if we don't, we won't be able to exist here. It will throw us out like before, and we'll have to leave. Simeon, and when you're saying that the entire land, all nations, the entire world will become the land of Israel, and all people will become, nations will become Israel, what does that mean, Dr. Leitman? That all nations will turn to the Creator, meaning that they will take upon themselves, accept the quality of love and bestowal as their fundamental essence in life, and they will want only, Simeon, to come to that quality, Dr. Leitman. Exactly. Simeon, and then the land in which they'll be, we can call it the land of Israel, Dr. Leitman. Yes. Simeon, no matter where they are, even geographically in Alaska or whatever, Dr. Leitman, doesn't matter where and how. We have to correct all the desires in us, and accordingly, all the lands, all the countries on this tiny globe will be corrected, and everything's going to be fine, and everything's going to flourish. Simeon. Okay, and then happens something very interesting. It's similar to the crossing of the Red Sea, but before that, the Lord, He creates a covenant with Joshua, and He says, and the Lord said to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses. What is this proof needed for, Dr. Leitman? For the Israelites themselves and for the non-Israelites, meaning for those that go with Joshua and for those that are outside of them, meaning that do not accept the quality of bestowal and love as the main quality, as the connection between people that is above any egoistic awakenings, eruptions, and whoever does not accept that has to understand and accept it and bow to it and to start implementing it. Simeon, so it can't be above reason that I bow to it, but you have to show, Dr. Leitman, it has to permeate a person from above. And by no means can it be accepted by way of, okay, I'm going to do it. No, can't be that way. It is an inner reformation of the entire system of man. And this is what happens throughout many, many years. Simeon, so the Creator wants to show that he is going to be with Yoshua bin Nun, like with Moses, and for everyone to see it, that the miracle was there. And really, it's amazing. Dr. Leitman, it has to be such that on the one hand, it will be understood that it is a miracle, that it is done by the Creator, on the one hand. On the other hand, so that for them to be able to see it, accept it, realize it, since they're already ready for it. Meaning, it is something that happens on the boundary between the impossible and possible. Simeon, so when we ask for some kind of revelation of the Creator, some miracle of something, we're asking for it. So you're saying that, hey, what are you asking for? Well, when we say, for example, we want to see a miracle, we want some proof that the Creator is with us, we want for everyone to see. You understand my question? Suppose, even if we're talking about our group, see that the Creator is with us. Dr. Leitman, please, see it. Only for this, you have to see it. You have to be ready to see it all. For it to become revealed in our qualities, meaning, by our qualities, we have to reach such a state where it will become revealed. Simeon, will others see that the Creator is with us? Dr. Leitman, others, if they have the corresponding qualities, then they will. If not, they won't. Simeon, okay, I have many questions, but let's leave that for now. Dr. Leitman, you can't do anything about this. It is all according to the law of equivalence of form. Simeon, okay, one more thing. And then there was something very interesting. The order of Yoshua bin Nun is passed on to the nation, and the prophets say that the priests say that you will witness a miracle. And so when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now the Jordan is at flood stage, all during harvest, yet as soon as the priests who carried the Ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground, while all Israel passed until the whole nation has completed the crossing on dry ground. It's a feeling like the Jordan is like a kind of sea, that it's, Dr. Leitman, it's a border, it's a boundary, and a very serious one, between the desires that are outside of the land of Israel, meaning those that are not directed toward or at the Creator, and those desires that are. And therefore, if you are still outside of Israel, you're not in desires that are directed toward the Creator yet, you have completely different states. You can allow yourself, Simeon, have a good time. Dr. Leitman, yeah, have a good time, and partially in your egoistic desires somehow, even though that these are already those grounds that are on the boundary around the land of Israel. But when entering in Israel, it's only on condition that you have to be clean, that you change your intention in order to bestow, to love, and to connection with others, and only in that are you in those qualities, and you travel this land, meaning you change your inner qualities, and there's no geography here, nothing, and all your movements, they're only inside your desires. Better and bigger, etc. You're leading a war against your egoistic qualities that suddenly appear, become revealed precisely in relation to you, in relation to these intentions and so on. Meaning this is all much more serious now. It's a much more inner war, Simeon. And it says that once the feet of the priests dipped in the water stopped. What is that? Dr. Laitman, these are completely different qualities, completely different relations between man's desires and nature that the Creator has created on purpose in order to correct man, specifically for that, to raise man to his level, because the land of Israel is actually that place, those desires, where the Creator is. And here, a person has to precisely feel where is that border between the desires of the Creator and the desires that are distant from the Creator. Simeon, but a priest in a person, it's something very clean. Dr. Laitman, yeah, it's the very first holy quality in a person with which he wants to approach the Creator, because all this is merely advancing toward connection with the Creator. Simeon, so the miracle can happen if the priests go first. Dr. Laitman, yes, if this is the intention that you're going with, you enter these new desires and they're new. They were never revealed before, meaning this is a completely new degree, then yes, you're advancing. Simeon, and one last final question. Earlier, Pharaoh, he was in pursuit of the nation, and they stood on the edge of the Red Sea, and Nachshon had to jump first. They didn't know what to do, and only then did the sea split. Dr. Laitman, here it's the same. Well, Simeon, here, no one is pursuing you. Dr. Laitman, here you yourself have to understand that you have to advance. It's not necessary to put pressure on you from behind all the time. Back then, there was a reason to escape from some kind of suffering, the 10 plagues, etc. And now you don't have that anymore. Now they are pushed by their own recognition of need to cleanse themselves of the egoistic intention and to cleanse their desires in order to reveal the Creator in them, and by that to give them contentment. Simeon, so what's the difference between the tearing open of the Red Sea and the splitting of the water of the Jordan, internally in a person? Dr. Laitman, well, the sea that split there, it's the Red Sea. It's in Hebrew it also means the final sea. It's where Pharaoh's rule comes to an end and the Creator starts ruling. Meaning actually it's the same governance, only that appears in a different form. Simeon, can we say that this is where the spiritual birth occurs? Dr. Laitman, well, spiritual birth, it doesn't exactly happen in an instant. It's a process. It's a lengthy process, just like in our world. It's all a lengthy process. Simeon, but still, there was need to do all this above reason, that it is impossible to cross the sea, and they go into it in faith above reason. Dr. Lichtman here is the same. And all these, let's call them journeys, or wonders, they always rise above their ego, always. Only that sometimes it happens through wars, through a leap into the sea, crossing the Jordan, etc. But still, it all happens by overcoming. Simeon, there you had Nachshon, and there were no priests to go into the water and split them, Dr. Laitman. But you don't have the quality of Binah there yet. But here you already have a very clear quality of Binah, because in the land of Israel, what rules is the quality of Binah, of bestowal, of connection, and therefore they have to feel and behave differently. And the task that's ahead of them is different. Thank you very much. Till next time.